thank you everybody for joining us for this practice session. It's the second one of the day. And just a note, the same link that you have for this one will work for our one at 5:30 as well. So if you feel like you want to come back and do the questions again and log back in, you can totally do that. Not a problem. So Lee is going to run the polling demo, but I am going to run through a couple of things real quick. The people you see on your screen, just in case you're not aware, I'm Chris Cotterman, as it says right there. It's mirrored. The Director of Government Relations for ASBA. Lee, it just waved to you. She's our Government Relations Associate. And then Gina Moss is our Admin Assistant for Government Relations and Legal and Policy Services. And she is helping as well. We also will have a bunch of ASBA staff behind the scenes, but that's who's on with you right now. So. So here's what we're going to do. And first, we're going to do a little Zoom platform orientation. We'll explain the process for the virtual environment. We're doing a couple of things different. We will log into vPoll. We'll do some practice questions, and then we will troubleshoot. So first of all, thank you. Thanks for serving as a delegate or an alternate to the ASBA Delegate Assembly. I know we know during COVID times, it can seem like these sorts of things are superfluous in nature, but this process is super important to the association, and we have to do it no matter what. It's in our bylaws, and it's really important that we be able to say that our positions as an association are determined by the will of our membership. So it's super important. So thank you for taking the time to participate. We do anticipate that there will be some technical glitches for some people, but we're doing our best to make things as easy as possible for everybody. So some patience is appreciated, but just know that we're trying very hard to eliminate as much as we can, but we know that there will be a couple of things we'll have to work out. But that's why we're doing this. So hopefully it will be fewer. So first of all, a little orientation to Zoom webinar. If you'll pardon my, my drawing here. Up on the left there, just a little note. Right now, you are all muted, so you can't speak. And that's going to be the way that it's going to be for the webinar, for the Delegate Assembly as well. That's so we control crosstalk and things like that. So when you're recognized to speak during the webinar, you'll receive a prompt to unmute, and then we'll be unmuted and you can speak. So, but those are if you're familiar with Zoom, those on the left are your mute and stop video controls. You won't need your camera for the Delegate Assembly, so don't worry about that. The other thing we want to talk about is this participants button right here in the middle, circled in red where it says 2 right now. That's where you get to your participant screen, which is important because that's how you raise your hand to get recognized. So once you click that, that participant little 2 people there, you get this screen and you click that raise hand button, and that's what lets the moderator know that you want to be recognized to speak. And so then after you raise your hand, the presiding officer will recognize you and you'll get unmuted, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that's just a brief sort of tutorial. Like I said, once you're recognized, you receive a prompt asking you to unmute. You click the unmute and you'll be able to speak. When you start speaking, our friends at Video West will show a timer. That timer is 2 minutes long, and that's the time that you have remaining to speak. So each delegate gets 2 minutes to speak when they're recognized, and so that's how we're going to control that. So that's the brief orientation to Zoom. On Saturday, just so you know.
We have a raised hand.
Oh, see, we've had a raised hand right now. Is that a question or somebody just
clicking on it? I'm not sure.
Well, it's Kevin. I don't know if somebody intentionally unmuted us and that was an attempt to demonstrate that functionality, or
Yeah, well, I don't know. Kevin raised his hand, so do you want to call on Kevin? Can you unmute Kevin?
I think Kevin is unmuted.
Kevin is unmuted.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah, we can hear you.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah, there was a little icon or a little window that popped up that said, mute, unmute, whatever, something, and that popped up. So I wasn't sure whether or not you were trying to test the functionality of this, lower hand, raise hand, and do that, or not. But it did pop up, so appreciate that.
How it works. So
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, and the only other thing.
Through there and muting everybody, guys.
Great.
So.
Okay. And then the only other thing is, I'll call it an alternate or whatever, the alternate delegate. And I got your email today, Chris. And so are you going to go through how we deal with if my delegate needs to take a bio break or whatever, and I have to step in, how we transfer that?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
We can cover that. Yep.
All right. I'll shut up then.
No worries. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. So to Kevin's point, on Saturday, we are allowing one representative of each district to be in the Zoom meeting, the delegate or the alternate. And that is for, we're not allowing both because we're trying to keep it matched up between the number of voters and the number of people in the meeting. That being said, if your delegate leaves and you come in, we can deal with that. We just need to know about it. So if somebody drops off and somebody else comes in, then they're going to pop up and we're going to ask you, hey, who are you? We're going to match your name with the list, and we're going to make sure that only one person is there at one time. So it's going to be a little bit of a bummer, but but that's how we have to do it. Everybody has their own credentials. So even alternates and delegates and alternates each have their own credentials. So you won't have to transfer that back and forth. So that's fine. The assembly will be streamed to the ASBA YouTube channel. And so we have to use that for the public stream. So anybody who's not in the room can watch on the ASBA YouTube channel. And like I said, that's to track the ability of members to track the number of voting delegates. Most of the time, you'll see Stephen Chapman on the screen and Ann O'Brien on the screen, and then we are going to share a screen with the voting results on it as well. And we'll see that in a second. And then we just covered delegates who request to speak by raising their hand and being recognized by the presiding officer. Okay, last thing before I turn it over to Lee. We really, really need your amendments ahead of time. The proposed rules that we put out do not allow for amendments on Saturday. And we did that. It's changed from previous years, but we did that to try to cut down on the number of cross amendments and conflicting amendments and things that we usually have to deal with, because those are very difficult to deal with in person or in a virtual environment. So to submit an amendment, please fill out the amendment form, which was provided in your email. But also, here it is right here. And I am going to show it to you right now. So here's the amendment form. And like Charmaine said, this is just if you want to change something that is on the agenda. So if you want to change something that's on the agenda, you can submit it here. And we ask you for your first name, last name, which district you're with, what the number is, what the item is, as it's numbered on the sheet that we sent out, which we'll send out again tomorrow. And then how you want the item to appear after it's changed. So basically what you want it to say. And then we will take care of making it so that it meshes together. And then we'll we will propose it. So, and we'll add it to the stack for consideration. So that's how we'd like that to happen. And if we end up needing to do something on Saturday, we'll still use this form, but we are, that will be at the will of this is a parliamentary proceeding, so the assembly can decide, but we would really, really like to have all amendments before Saturday so we can make things run as smoothly as possible. All right, back to the presentation real quick. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Lee. This is, I'll let her explain it, but this is the, and then I'll unshare this screen so she can go into it. But this is the VPOL. That's the website for VPOL, which we'll put in the chat. Your access code is ASBA DA20. And then our polling session for today is delegate assembly tests. So,
okay, so what we have found most useful is if you're able to have a desktop or laptop that has us and this Zoom meeting on it, and then use your phone or a tablet as your voting device. It seems like it works best to have two separate screens, and that kind of mimics the clicker experience that we are all used to if you've done delegate assembly before. If not, it will also work just to have two tabs open in your browser or whatever, but if you can, that's what we're recommending, to have a two-screen situation. So if you can, open up a browser on whatever device you're using and go to vpoll.mobi. And I will,
and then I'll just say, so you go to vpoll.mobi and enter that access code ASBA-DA20. Oh, go ahead.
and it will look like this. And once you're there, I can't demonstrate any further than this, but this is what your login screen will look like. And you need to type in your ID number, first name, last name, and district exactly as how it appears in the email Chris sent you. We had to put in a spreadsheet with this system, and it's a little finicky if there's extra spaces or anything like that. So just make sure that it's case sensitive, exactly the same. If you copy and paste, you don't have any spaces at the beginning or end or anything like that, or else it will switch you out and not let you log in. But if you have any issues, we have the whole spreadsheet. We can always change what's in there, particularly for districts that have any hyphens in their name. We might have to fiddle around with those on our end a little bit. So just let us know if you have any issues logging in, but then the polling session will be delegate assembly test.
For the benefit of those of you watching this later, we have logged into vPoll and now we're doing practice questions. So at this point, you would see on your screen this question and you would answer yes or no on your device.
And similar to at the real delegate assembly, there is a bit of a lag between when you see the question on your screen and when this green timer starts going, just because I'm a human and I have to click the button. So if I haven't pressed play yet, your answer won't be recorded yet. So just make sure you have this little green timer counting down, and then it's good to answer. There we go. Don't like the virtual meetings. So we got, let's see, 9 responses again. And your screen did not go to the question, had to hit the back button, get the new question. Yeah. Here's a question for you, Ann. I've found if I'm doing this on my phone and I have one open and then I click out to look at an email or whatever and go back, then it gets a little bit wonky and you do have to go back or forward or refresh. So is that what you were doing?
No, it was just, I literally just had it sitting here and it just stayed on the screen with the bar graph from the first question.
Okay. But it works to just go back and then forward again?
Yeah, I hit the back button a couple times. The new question was there.
It was sometimes that we did experience that a little bit. We did experience that a little bit when we're in our test as well. And the solution almost always seemed to be, if you refresh the page, it unsticks itself. But
Okay, I have no problem with that. I would just recommend letting people know that. So
Yeah,
we
I thought.
can come up against it.